What if the single fastest way to cut global emissions wasn't a new technology, but something on your dinner plate? Sounds impossible. Yet hidden inside one everyday habit is a secret that could reshape the planet almost overnight. Imagine this. Tomorrow morning, every person on Earth makes the exact same decision. No burgers, no steaks, no chicken, no eggs, no cheese, no animal products at all. The world becomes vegan in a single day. At first, it sounds like a victory for animals and the environment. But the real story is far more complicated. And this is where it gets weird. Most people think cars are the biggest climate problem. But livestock tells a different story. Animals raised for food generate roughly a quarter of humanity's greenhouse gas emissions. And cows are the biggest contributors. Why? Because every year, billions of cattle release enormous amounts of methane into the atmosphere. Methane doesn't get as much attention as carbon dioxide. But here's the strange part. Methane traps heat far more effectively. So if every human suddenly stopped consuming animal products, livestock-related emissions would begin collapsing almost immediately. That sounds like a dream scenario. But what happens to the animals? That question opens a much darker mystery. The world currently supports billions of farm animals because humans created a demand for them. Remove that demand overnight, and the system breaks. Farmers can't afford to feed animals nobody buys. Governments aren't prepared for the scale. Sanctuaries couldn't possibly hold them all. Some animals might return to natural habitats. Others wouldn't survive at all. And that's not even the craziest part. Because the biggest transformation wouldn't happen in farms. It would happen to the land itself. And what that land could become changes everything. Think about how much space farm animals occupy. Now multiply that by almost every country on Earth. The result is staggering. Livestock currently uses an enormous share of the planet's agricultural land. So what happens when those animals disappear? Millions of square kilometers suddenly become available. At first glance, the answer seems obvious. Plant more food. Feed more people. Problem solved. But here's the strange part. Many scientists believe the greatest benefit wouldn't come from farming. It would come from doing absolutely nothing. Allow forests to regrow. Let grasslands recover. Restore ecosystems that vanished generations ago. Those landscapes would begin pulling carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere naturally. Suddenly, the Earth gains one of its most powerful climate tools back. Sounds perfect. Except another problem appears. A massive one. What happens to the people whose livelihoods depend on livestock? Millions of farmers, ranchers, transport workers, processors, suppliers, and small rural businesses rely on animal agriculture. Remove the industry overnight, and entire communities could collapse economically. And this is where it gets even weirder. The countries hit hardest may not be the wealthy ones. Many developing regions depend heavily on livestock for income, food security, and survival. For some families, animals aren't just food. They're savings accounts, transportation, employment, insurance, everything. A global vegan transition could trigger economic shockwaves reaching every corner of the planet. But maybe the health benefits would make it worth it, right? Not so fast. Because the biggest assumption about veganism may be completely wrong. And what happens next changes everything. Most people hear the word vegan and immediately think healthy. But reality is much more complicated. Removing animal products doesn't automatically improve your diet. In fact, it can create entirely new challenges. Without careful planning, people can become deficient in vitamin B12, iron, calcium, zinc, vitamin D, and omega-3 fatty acids. The nutrients don't disappear, but obtaining them becomes harder. So does that mean a vegan world would be less healthy? Surprisingly, no. At least not for everyone. Studies suggest that properly balanced plant-based diets could reduce rates of heart disease, stroke, and type 2 diabetes. Global mortality could fall dramatically. Millions of deaths might be prevented every year. Healthcare systems could save enormous amounts of money. For many countries, the benefits would be extraordinary. But here's the twist nobody sees coming. The same change that helps some populations could hurt others. More than 2 billion people around the world already struggle with undernourishment. For many communities, animal products remain one of the most accessible sources of critical nutrients. Remove them without reliable alternatives, and health outcomes could worsen instead of improve. Suddenly, the question isn't whether veganism is good or bad. It's whether one solution can work for 8 billion different lives. And that's the real mystery. A vegan planet could reduce emissions, restore ecosystems, save lives, but it could also disrupt economies, reshape societies, and create challenges nobody fully understands. So if the entire world stopped eating animal products tomorrow, would we be witnessing humanity's smartest decision, or the beginning of an experiment whose consequences we're still unable to predict?